about FEMA and the damage that FEMA does and how we don't need agencies like that coming in and, you know, aiding flood survivors. He says that if agencies like FEMA weren't around, that victims of disasters, that other people would come to help them. Donations would go through church, and church groups would, you know, help all the people, and hospitals would do some of that charitable kind of thing. I'm standing in a yard right now that was flooded in Cedar Rapids, Iowa in the 2008 floods. And as you can see, we're right across the street from a berm that is the river. And the river came over the top of the berm and it flooded the neighborhoods. And following that, we had the Army Reserves here blocking off our roads. We had FEMA agents running around. The city police used it as an opportunity to keep the people out and to kick the doors in and go into people's house without a search warrant, as though it was martial law, even though it was not. The area was declared a federal disaster area, and so FEMA came in and they started making assessments and giving some people checks. In some of these areas, they declared that there was a possibility that they would offer what they called was a voluntary buyout program. This buyout program turned out not to be voluntary at all. FEMA was offering the money, but the city then used this to acquire property, and they essentially coerced the people out of the neighborhoods. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is what FEMA does to neighborhoods. FEMA's money allowed the city of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to coerce the neighbors out of their houses through tactics of denying people permits, not allowing volunteer assistance over in the areas where they were doing buyouts. They created a Jump Start program which assisted flood victims all throughout the city except for those areas to buy out, which meant that, you know, you could get help if your house was flooded and was not in a voluntary buyout zone, but Jump Start would not give you any assistance whatsoever if you were over in this area. So essentially they made it so that people didn't have any other option. They couldn't get any help to fix their house. They only could, you know, take the offer that they were being given, and in the beginning they thought that that was going to be a blessing, and it turned out not to. So you can see Ron Paul is totally 100% correct about how if you let the federal government get involved in our lives, that they don't understand. The federal government is like a machine, and it does not understand the individual emotions of people. And so the federal government, being as large as it is incapable anymore of understanding the minute issues that everyday individuals deal with. And because of that reason, they need to stay out of our lives. This is what I've got for a neighborhood now. This is my neighborhood. My neighbors are gone, the houses are gone, and, you know, and slowly but surely, you know, they're going to try to threaten to take my house too, because that's the only one left. So I got to say thank you, Ron Paul. Vote Ron Paul.